Okay, you are now live on YouTube.
All right, thank you.
Be ready to go. Let me know if you need anything from me. I'll be hanging out right by the computer.
Thank you.
Can you hear me, Natasha?
Yes, Chair G, you just need to take your mute off and you can go ahead and commence the meeting.
Natasha, can you hear me? Well, I can't hear you. Let's see here.
Yeah, there I am. Okay, I can hear. Bill, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dick. Yeah.
Natasha, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
But we haven't begun yet.
We are live, sir.
I have Mike, Eric, and Bill on my screen. Is everybody there? Hang on, we're still working. Okay. All right. It's 9:34. I'm going to proceed as if we are ready to proceed. If not, stop me. And call the meeting in order. Welcome, everybody. This is the August 20 meeting of the Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority Committee work session. And we'll call the meeting to order and call the roll.
Alice Cannella.
Here.
J. Bell.
Here.
Darian Collins. Kenny Custer.
Here.
Doug Fisher.
Here.
Tyler Howell. Curtis Jones. Walker Jones.
Here.
Bill McGriff.
Here.
Gene Shipley. Boyd Veal.
Here.
Dick G.
Here. Let me read a statement before we begin that governs the conduct of this meeting. And it is, of course, brought on by the COVID pandemic. So we in Hamilton County are presently experiencing and having to deal with the coronavirus pandemic COVID-19 and are presently under a state of emergency as declared by the governor of the state of Tennessee. Pursuant to Executive Order number 50 issued by Tennessee Governor Bill Lee on June 29th, 2020, this committee work session is being conducted pursuant to the governor's directives, which allows local governmental bodies to conduct their meetings without its members being physically assembled together, and to reduce exposing the general public, the members of those local governmental bodies and governmental staff from the possibility of contracting the coronavirus. Is there any objection? With no objection, let the record reflect that this meeting is being conducted electronically and being shown to the general public by visiting www.youtube.com/signalwatch. Anyone from the public wishing to address the board will be given the opportunity to discuss at the end of the meeting by calling in. I will announce the number when the line goes live. The agenda for today's meeting is posted in the description of the live stream video. Any commissioner seeking recognition to speak is asked to physically raise your hand so the chair can recognize you. At that time, you may unmute your microphone and speak. Then mute your microphone when you are finished speaking in order to avoid feedback. Are there any questions? Very good. We will now proceed. We have an item for the Variance Committee. And do we have Melanie Lehmann on the line, Natasha?
Yes, sir. I'll go ahead and transfer her in.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Lehmann. Ms. Lehmann.
She's muted.
Ms. Lehmann.
Yes. I'm here.
Ms. Lehmann is on the chair.
Okay, Ms. Lehmann,
Yes.
hi there. My name
Hi.
is Dick. My name is Dick G, and I'm the chairman of the WWTA. So you're speaking to the board concerning your request for a variance. So would you like to state what you would like the board to do?
Well, yes, can you hear me?
Yes. And they can all hear you.
Okay. I seem to be getting some other talking, so I was confused. So when we had the tornado, we had several trees come down, 10 of them, or 8 to be exact. And so then we had a bunch of dead grass, and then we had to cut those trees and pile them out front. So then that killed grass. So I planted the grass and watered it, and then I got my bill, which was outrageous. And of course, by the time I got that, then the next bill, there was already more on that one. Then I ended up quit watering it because it was too high. I just couldn't justify that. So now my grass is dead, but I just wanted to know if I could have a reduction in that because of the situation.
Natasha, would you, well, and maybe we've already done this, but just for the purpose of this meeting, read the policy that exists today concerning sprinkler systems?
Yes, sir. The current policy is that we do not make any adjustments for any sprinkler systems.
Yeah, this wasn't a sprinkler system. I was the sprinkler system. And I was told that after the fact that I could get a garden meter, which was $500. So all in all, had I done that after the $300 I spent on water that didn't go in the sewer, that went into my grass, then it would have cost me almost $1,000 to finish that whole project. And that's ridiculous. You know, if something that I chose and knew going into it, like when you go to Walmart, you pick out what you're going to buy and you're responsible, but this wasn't something that went in the sewer. So it's not a sprinkler system. It's nothing I've ever done before. It was a special circumstance. And I know you make allowance for swimming pools, same difference. It doesn't go into the sewer.
Would anybody on the Variance Committee like to make a comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
did
Kenny.
we receive any verification? And I take her word that that happened. I mean, I have some property that was damaged during the tornado myself, so I understand the experience that she's going through. Was she able to provide any photograph of some of the damage that was done and where the grass had to be replaced and the tree removal, part of that process as a request?
Yeah, I wasn't, this was all I was told to do, was to come on and speak with you guys. I definitely have pictures, lots of them.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would add, under normal circumstances, I agree. I've sat on Variance Committee for a number of years, and generally for irrigation, we do not give any type of variances. But if we had some more documentation or substantial documentation about what had occurred, I would be more inclined to see what we could do.
You believe this is a special situation which requires variance consideration then?
Well, given the event that it was declared a natural disaster, I would.
Comments from anybody else?
A question, Natasha, do we have what her average standard bill was versus what was the one that she's asking for variance on?
I believe we have some information that's on the fact sheet. Let's see. Let's see, we do have the average that is in the office. Let's see. And I can get that to you all as well.
Yeah, my average with water included, because I don't have my old bills. I am trying to clean out stuff, but it was $55 a month total with Eastside and with the sewer. That's my average for a long time, for years. So the first bill that I got was a total of hold on, the first one was a total of $282.70, with the water portion being $69. The rest is sewer. Again, water that didn't go down in the sewer. The next bill that I had, that before I got this bill where I had already used more water, the sewer was $80.68 plus the $8, whatever that fee is, sewer fee. So $89.68 total was the sewer on that one.
So is that on the bottom there?
Who was that spoke?
That was Melanie Lehmann that spoke.
Oh, okay.
In the window that shows the speaker view.
So there is,
So you can connect.
Doug, does your question suggest you are sympathetic to this request?
Well, I am sympathetic in the sense, I guess I kind of tend to agree with Kenny a little bit that, you know, the federal government, the state government, county and city have all made allowances for one time or situations that happen that are, as Kenny called, declared states of emergency. You know, if everybody else can be flexible, it just seems like maybe that under those kinds of circumstances, we should have the ability to be flexible too.
The concern, of course, is precedent.
I understand always is in there.
If we agree to make this an exception or a variance, do we set a precedent for future claims on something that we really simply can't control? Does this give us sufficient exception to grant a variance so that we won't be vulnerable to future claims of this type?
In my opinion, you take each variance at face value with what circumstances is presented. We couldn't control the outcome of a tornado, and neither could the applicant. With that being said, the general person, a general individual that went through a traumatic experience of whatever kind of damage, whether it was the house or the yard and trees, and having to find out the hard way that most insurance companies don't cover any of your tree debris unless you have a tree policy, which I found out later on that works. And I lost 45 trees. So
Wow.
Just to give you an idea, there's a substantial amount of work if you don't get volunteers and stuff that has to go into that. So this situation, with it being a natural disaster, I wouldn't think that it would set a precedent. I feel it's unlikely that you would have 30 people apply for a variance during a disaster because they're all really generally dealing with something else. Not exactly clear what variance she's asking for, if it's a total repayment or a split. I would like to know more about that.
Ms. Lehmann, do you have an idea of what you'd like the board to do?
Well, ultimately, I would like, it to be anything that would be above my normal. I'm sorry, I don't have my old bills to say. I thought that Elvia had gotten them, but I think she maybe had trouble getting them. I don't know. But
So, hang on just a minute. Natasha's raising her hand here, and I think she probably can help us.
Yes, sir. What we will do is average the two highest bills. Looks like the high bills for the request is in the amount of $197.27 and $80.68. Ms. Lehmann's average bill is $48.03. So what we would do is average those two bills back down to the minimum per average bill. I'm sorry.
Does that sound like a reasonable solution to you, Ms. Lehmann?
absolutely.
Neil, I need to ask you to make a comment on this from the precedent and legal standpoint, if you wouldn't mind. Is Neil there? I know she's there because I can see her picture. Neil?
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
All right.
Would you please give us some guidance from a legal standpoint on what we're getting ready to consider?
You would be required, because to do the same for any other person that came to you similarly situated. So in the future, if we have something where someone is complaining about an overage on a watering situation where, through no fault of their own, a natural disaster has occurred and destroyed part of their lawn, it would seem to me that you could either set a precedent after the event itself, like after the tornado, and give staff the ability to make those kind of decisions automatically without having that variance come to the board. Or you could just retain it within the board, but you have to treat everybody similarly situated to this applicant the same.
But this doesn't open us up to just anyone who waters
This is, you're setting the parameters. So when you make the motion should say, we find that there was a natural disaster, that during the natural disaster, there were instances where the general public could not remove the debris from their yards in an efficient time. They had to replant their yards. And therefore, when they're starting to replant under similar circumstances, that we would consider for that purposes only an adjustment, and then set forth according to our previously set forth policies on making an adjustment in comparison with their past bills.
Okay, thank you. Does
Okay.
that sound agreeable to the members of the committee?
I make a motion that what she said.
Who was writing that? Did somebody write that down? Ms. Lehmann, are you with us still? You following what we're
Yes,
doing?
I am, sir.
Okay, very
Yes,
good.
sir.
I'll second Doug's motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Mike, would you like to make a comment or no?
No comment.
I would just real quick, I guess you could consider perhaps a drought a natural disaster. So, you know how dry it was last fall. I used a ton of water in September and October. They were extremely hot, extremely dry, and I don't know that that would be considered a natural disaster, but sometimes those sort of things are declared. That would almost allow everybody to have a pass on
Yeah.
water.
So we have to frame the
So we may need to look at
Okay.
rewriting.
You could define a natural disaster as one that has been declared either by the county mayor or by the governor.
Okay, very good. We will get the appropriate language that protects the WWTA, but allows us to grant this variance for Ms. Lehmann. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Alice? Alice?
Yes, I would just request that Ms. Lehmann does bring to the staff some of the documentation that we were talking about that Kenny
very good.
addressed. I would request that she does do that.
All right. Ms. Lehmann, is that agreeable?
Yeah, I can sure email someone all the pictures.
Great.
I have plenty.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand. And I guess we need, Natasha, is a roll call? Probably
spending money.
just a voice vote. I think we need to have members of the variance committee say yay or nay individually. You want to call that roll?
Alice Cannella,
Yes,
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell, Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal, Dick G.
Yes. All right, you heard the results of the vote. Ms. Lehmann, your variance has been granted. If you will work with Natasha and the staff here to provide that information, we'll make the adjustment in your bill.
Thank you so much, everyone. I sure appreciate it. It makes
You're
me
very
feel
welcome.
like there's hope in the world again.
Very good. We're glad we were able to make your day a little bit better.
All right. You did. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye now. Good work, you all, by the way. That I think that was a very good decision. The next item on the agenda is 2405 Ashmore Avenue Easement Encroachment. Who's going to present that?
Larry Mowry will present that.
Okay.
Okay, what we've got, let me get these off. What we've got, y'all got the, I guess you got the packet that shows the picture of the house and where this is in Red Bank. This house has been built, and I think, talking to him when we found this, he was lining up his house with the rest of the houses down through there and discovered that he's within our easement. Now, he's within our easement 4 to 5 feet. In other words, the main is 5 to 6 feet off his building. The positive for this, it's a shallow line. It's not deep, 4.5 feet deep. So if we did have to dig, we're not going to be undermining the footers and all that. And the line has been relined, so the line is good and being rehabbed. So basically that's where it is. He's asking a variance of, he's needing a letter for the bank so he can get more money to complete the house. The house is under roof. And basically that's what he's asking for. A variance to be allowed to do this. I know in the past, when we have allowed them, we've asked for a hold harmless letter from the applicant or from the customer. So maybe that's something we can look at, but that's what he's asking, a variance since he is on our easement.
I can't make out from the picture where, okay, 2405.
Do what?
I'm trying to locate 2405 and I'm not having a good.
Are you looking at the map or the?
Yeah, I'm looking at the map, trying to get a.
That's the one highlighted in yellow there.
I got it. Okay, there you go. And he's going to go across the easement. Is that what's going to happen?
The main runs in the backyard.
Okay.
Yeah, the yellow highlight obscures the line, but if you look on the map, the orange line running along the rear is on GIS is close to a number of houses there. You can see the other addresses, 2407, 2409.
Yeah.
In 2019, they're all very close to the line. And then in the other picture, you can see, you can just barely make out a green stake near a sawhorse. I think that's what I'm seeing, Larry. Is that correct in that picture?
Yeah, that was mainly for Anthony to line up when he was videoing the main. When Joy and then went out there, he said it's real close to where that stake is, maybe a foot more to the left. So that's the reason I said 5 to 6 feet out.
So in the picture, it's more like where that cardboard box or whatever that is.
Right.
Okay. So in the past, we've actually made people move decks, and I think we've actually had someone move a house before, just for information. However, there's low risk in this situation. Would you agree, Larry?
Yes. Yeah, with the line only being 4.5 feet deep, you're not going to undermine anything, and you'll. Plus, I don't know. I mean, the line has been relined, so the line's in good shape right through there.
Okay, so I'm hearing from basically from staff that this is something that would approve, assuming that we grant the variance. Approve of if we grant the variance.
Yes.
And I guess just again, from the precedent side of it, is there any danger there?
Well, the danger here is the house built.
Yeah.
We found this out after the fact, so
Yeah.
obviously occur again knowingly, and we'd have this example someone could point to. That's the danger.
Yeah.
If I could, is he planning on building a deck or something over that long term? And is there any other construction going over that off the back of the house that we're aware of?
Not that
shed,
we're
deck,
aware of.
but
not
that
that
will
we're
be
aware of.
his responsibility if we have to go in there and work on that line. He would be, I mean, we might have to tear his deck out, that'd be at his expense.
Right, that's what the hold harmless letter
Right.
would be.
Okay,
covered.
as long as he knows. Okay.
Does anyone else have a comment?
Alice does.
I have, Alice does. Alice, do you have a comment? I'm trying to get back to the pictures here. There we go.
Yes,
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 ma'am.
yes. My question is this the side? Looks like it's the side of the house. Does the entire side run in the sewer easement? I guess that's my question. Does the entire side of the house, because it looks like the sewer is parallel to this wall.
Yeah,
And,
that's actually the back of the house.
okay, so it does run parallel to the entire back of the house.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would have a concern too about, you know, a deck or a future add-on, a porch, anything like that. So I think that would definitely have to be covered in any kind of hold harmless letter. I mean, there could be multiple owners in the future on this house. You have to think about all those things.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Kenny.
Was this a house that was torn down and rebuilt, or is this a newer subdivision? I'm just not familiar with the area, because if I look at it correctly, it looks like every one of those houses are set back about the same.
And that's where he got close to us by lining up with those. That particular lot, I don't think had a house on it.
So it was
before.
undeveloped.
Right.
Okay.
And, but once they started building all them other houses above him, they were older homes that they had tore down and rebuilt. But that lot there had not ever had a house on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Alice?
Yeah. Hey, Larry, it looks like it's 2407 and 2409. How close are they to the sewer? Do you know?
They seem to be, according to Joy looking out there, they'll be probably about the same.
I guess
See,
I
those
don't.
those were done in, according to the permit program when they were inspected and all back in 2014, 2015.
So what is the process when a person's going to build a house or build on a lot that previously had a house? Is there not a process for locating utilities prior to determining where the foundation of the house is going to go?
For us, they should get a demolition permit so that we, get to see that the line is capped off and protected. And whether that happened back then, I can't really answer.
So do all these because we grant a variance to this particular address, how about those other houses? Are they granted the same variance?
I would say so.
But we don't have hold harmless letters from those other houses, do we?
No, we don't.
Right. We were not aware of this situation until this came along.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, Larry or Mike, how did we become aware of this situation?
It was on an inspection. Is when we found it. They was looking for a T to connect in the backyard. And when we sent the camera guy out there, it was discovered they were a little close and a little bit over our line. So
Is there
a little bit? Tell me again, how many feet over?
according to Joey, when he went out there and kind of located with locator and all 4 to 5 feet over the line,
Okay.
To the easement, right?
over the easement, yes, not the
Not
line.
over the actual.
Right, the easement. The main line is actually 5 to 6 feet away.
So normally we have a 10-foot easement on either side of the sewer line, unless otherwise indicated. We have there are some lines in older parts of the system that only have 10-foot easements. But
Yeah, and
honestly,
we've got, yeah, and there are some out there, you know, with Red Bank and up on Seal Mountain where we only have 15 foot, but we do have 20 on this one.
Kenny, you raised your hand a minute ago.
And I don't recall the year that this, I would say within the last 2 to 3 years, this has been part of the discussion on actually working with the local officials on when building permits are issued. Part of what we do residential plan review. So we look at the sites and we address those on the front end. I can't remember if that was placed into the rules. It seems though to me that there's a rule that a building permit is not supposed to be issued anywhere where WWTA has authority in any jurisdiction without a sewer permit first. Correct me if I'm
Right,
wrong.
that is a state law that went into effect July of 2017.
Okay.
That they must have a sewer permit before a building permit is, but he had a sewer permit.
Okay.
So he had
his permit. It just
right. He had his permit.
site review
and-
wasn't
Right.
conducted, I guess.
So Larry, is there, this is from just personal experience that I guess what a lot of contractors, developers work off of are not to no fault of WWTA that these things were inherited from the city of Signal Mountain, from the city of Red Bank, et cetera. But that a lot of the I guess is it GIS, or maybe I'm using the wrong term, drawings and maps that show these things that a lot of people operate off of tend to be fairly inaccurate. Is there any chance that that could have been the case here?
I don't know if he would have called for a locate, 811 locate before he started his building. We may have done it then. He may have, but you're right. Those lines are off quite often by a little bit. Yeah.
And that brings me to another point. We've talked about numerous times, and at one point I was told it was a Homeland Security issue, but it would be so nice to have GIS capability for utilities, at least some utilities that are attached to, you know, whether it be contractors have to have a login or building code officials have to have a login or something to be able to easily identify, because you guys all know every time I need something, I have to call you all directly. You have to stop what you're doing and find it for me and then send it back to where
Right.
It'd be much more of a seamless process if people had access to a true database.
Well, a lot of times when they come down here and draw that sewer permit so they can get a building permit, they will get a map of where that T is and where that line is, so they know where they're going and how they're going to get there.
Okay.
So am I hearing right that the implication of this is that if we grant this variance based on a 2017 law or rule, we're protected going forward, that this won't be repeated?
I would say if y'all do accept this variance, which I don't have a problem with that. I don't know about Mike, but that it does include that hold harmless letter written properly.
I agree.
Okay, thank you, Mike. All right.
I'll make a motion that we accept the variance quest.
Somebody raised their hand. Boyd, did you raise your hand?
Yes.
Excuse me, let me get Boyd and I'll get back to you, okay?
Oh, that's no problem. No problem.
So I didn't mean to interrupt. I was looking away when I raised my hand. I think when we make this motion, just as a little cover anyway, grant it based partially on the fact that there's an identical existing non-conforming scenario on the adjacent property. I think that's one thing that we consider on this situation, whereas if that didn't exist, we would be far less likely to approve it. But there are houses adjacent to this property that have the exact same scenario. I think that if we note that, that does give us a little bit of cover on future cases.
Okay, thanks, Boyd. Kenny?
Yes, sir. I was just ready to make a motion whenever you're ready.
Okay, we're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance, provided that the hold harmless protects the WWTA, given the current circumstance that the home constructed is adjacent to a current non-conforming structure.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Doug. Is there any further discussion on this to make sure that we write the language that protects us to the maximum we can? Okay, hearing no further discussion, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Well, let's call the roll. Sorry.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Okay, that concludes the items for the Variance Committee. It's been a long time since the Variance Committee has had a request. So moving on then to items for the Finance Committee. And the first item is County WWTA Bond Interlocal Agreement and Resolution, which is Exhibit D, and I'll turn the microphone over to Mike.
So as you are aware, we are piggybacking along with the county bond issue in the amount of $17 million to do various projects in our service area. This is just an interlocal agreement between us and the county that we will repay our portion of the bond issue. The details are not completely ironed out, just because that's the way it has to work with issues right up until the bond is actually issued. But the basic details of the agreement that won't change is this is a 30-year payback for us with a debt service not to exceed $1.2 million per year. And that is actually the highest amount. It will likely be a good bit lower in the final scenario. And
Needless to say, this is very, very good news for us in many ways. The availability of funds at extremely good rates. It is a significant good news, or it is significant good news for WWTA. What do you need from us to do? Do we need to approve this at this point?
I need a motion to allow us to execute the agreement with Hamilton County.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion, we execute the agreement.
Thank you, Bill. Here a second.
Second.
Thank you, Walker. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Boyd?
I just have a question. If this is a vote to fully authorize, or is this a vote to send it to board for approval?
It's a vote to send it to the board for approval.
Very good. Any other questions or discussion, Doug?
Yeah, the question doesn't really matter. I maybe could have saved it for after the vote, but so Mike, you submitted I guess kind of a proposal, informal proposal, I guess, back when this first started to the county on, you know, how would you use that $17 million? There's not anything the board has approved or disapproved or said otherwise that actually restricts us to those items, or is that where the $17 million would go? Can you speak to that a little bit?
So currently there are 5 projects planned. Those projects can be changed, it's my understanding. But right now, there's no particular plan to change those projects. And I have shared those with the board, and I probably can share those again if you like right now. It may take a little bit of doing to call those up. But
I think the question I'm asking, Mike, is not so much about that, and don't beat yourself to death over trying to bring that screen up. I think everybody's seen it. Is you do have some flexibility in it. That's the question.
yes.
Okay, that's all I really need.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye, or we'll call the roll. Sorry.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right. The next item is First Tennessee 2011 Revenue Bond, Exhibit E. Again, I'll let Mike handle the discussion.
So this is basically a refinance of an existing bond. The current interest rate on the current bond is 3.78%. It's approximately $6.8 million, and there is a balloon payment due August 1st of 2026 of $3.8 million. We are wanting to take advantage of the much lower interest rates available now. And it's called refunding, but it's refinancing this to a lower interest rate of 1.77% is the current thought right now. That interest rate could change slightly upon finalization, but it won't change very much, we don't believe. The cost of issuance of the new bond is $70,000. However, the refinancing ultimately saves us approximately $519,726, and we don't have the burden of the $3.8 million to come up with in 2026. And if I've missed anything on that, Peggy, chime in.
Is Peggy there? Okay. Any questions? This sounds like nothing but good news. Boyd?
Yeah, just to clarify, I think it's what you said, but this will also be leveling the debt service, and we won't have any type of a balloon payment issue on this scenario, right?
I didn't hear that entirely.
Just wanted to make sure I understood what you were saying, that this process will also level the debt service obligation as opposed to having a balloon payment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
So there is one other thing that goes along with this. The bank is requesting a commitment letter that we would pay their legal fees if for some reason this didn't go through. Now, they've already committed. So at this point, the only reason this wouldn't go through is if we did not go through with it ourselves. So they're wanting a commitment letter from us that we would pay the bond, their bank counsel, and that amount is $15,000. And I told them I would request that approval at this meeting.
Okay, Walker, if you're prepared to continue
Yeah.
with your motion, you might want to make that part of the motion then.
Sure, with what Mike added to that, I can continue on with my motion for approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Any further discussion? Let's call the roll.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody. The next item is Southeast Development Agreement for ER 3 and 4 for SRF labor compliance, Exhibit F. What's that all about, Mike?
So on our SRF loans, they require compliance with the Davis-Bacon Act, which sets wage rates. So the Southeast Development District monitors that compliance for us. Actually, they do that for almost, well, the city as well for SRF loans. It's a requirement from SRF. The amount of this contract is $12,000. They did a great job over there for us with that. And it's just something we must move forward with as part of the SRF process.
And that requires approval of the board then?
Right, and this would just be a recommendation to the full board to approve the contract.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve, send to the full board.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Boyd, thank you. Any discussion? Any further discussion? All right, let's vote.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell, Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Okay, thank you all. Next item is 3C and 4B, East Ridge Rehab Contract Recommendation, shown in Exhibit G. Mike?
So this winds up being a discussion item only. We had originally planned to have the apparent bid award recommendation together for this meeting, but we are still working through the details. We're checking references on the apparent low bidder and there's some questions we need answered. So we're not prepared to recommend that apparent low bidder at this time. So we may very well be in a position next Wednesday at the full board meeting to recommend an award, but we're not there right now. So I don't need a motion with this.
All right.
Just an information piece at this point to let you know that it will be coming next Wednesday, possibly.
I assume the concern is that the low bid was a bit of a surprise.
Well, we're just checking making sure we're checking the load out thoroughly.
Okay, very good. The next item.
I think Kenny, I
Excuse
think
me?
Kenny has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kenny. Yes, sir.
That's okay. Just while we were on the topic of East Ridge real quick, Mike or Eric, if y'all could at any time, could you send me a full basin map for East Ridge that lists 3B, 4C, 10's obviously one that I'm well aware of, and restrictions that go along with that. So I don't issue anything that I shouldn't, and make sure that I'm communicating openly and transparent with whoever I need to be communicating with.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.
All right. Next item, Chambliss Bonner Stoffel Engagement Letter, Exhibit H.
So we've been in discussions with Chambliss Bonner to provide legal services on an as-needed basis. And what was in the packet is an engagement letter. The amount not to exceed $100,000 without additional board approval. And generally, we would continue to use the county attorney services, but we would use Chambliss Bonner in special cases. That's the thought process behind this. And I'm looking for a motion to recommend to the full board.
Motion.
Thank you, Doug. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Walker. Is there any discussion on this?
Just one question.
Who was that? Oh, Kenny. Yes, sir.
Sorry, Alice, I didn't mean to step on you. Do we know, is Chambliss representing any other of the local municipalities currently?
I do not know the answer to that question. I suspect that they could be. Yeah.
They're not with us no more, but I mean, I felt like they had good representation for us when we used Chambliss for a while. So I just didn't know if there was going to be any, if you have an issue in one district, but they're also their representative, and then the recusal and so on and so forth. But
Kenny, when we were searching, started looking at various firms, all of them did internal conflict of interest. I guess not investigations, but whatever some type of, to make sure that they did not fall under any conflict of interest, and Chambliss Bonner was clear.
okay, will we be using a specific like on this? Obviously, it's signed by Howell. Will we be using Mr. North, or is it going to be just whoever within the firm that they assign at the time? Do we know?
It would be multiple assignments.
Okay.
Alice, did you have a question?
Yes, I just was going to ask if, at the time when we wanted to employ their services, would that happen based on a letter, some kind of written communication to them stating, this is what we need for you to do for us? I didn't see it addressed in there.
I don't know that we really decided how we would. I mean, I honestly, I would anticipate a phone call. It depends on the issue. If it were to wind up being a lawsuit, it would certainly be more involved, but we might need to have some other type of legal question just answered. So I would anticipate that would be the type of engagement we would have.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Boyd?
Just a little clarification. We have a not to exceed 100,000. I'm not seeing any type of a time frame in the document. Is that meant to just be a rolling agreement, and until we get to that amount, we won't need to deal with it again? Or are we looking at an annual scenario? What?
I would anticipate that that's an annual scenario. That's how I would prefer to structure it anyway. And that's how we will word it in the resolution if the board agrees.
I think that would be just something to clarify, because unless I missed it, I didn't see that in there.
No, Boyd, I think you're correct, because it just says not to exceed 100,000 during the initial 12-month period, but it didn't set whether it was a one-year agreement. It just said initial 12-month.
Okay, so you're gonna make that clarification, Mike?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? So we need a motion, don't we?
Motion to sit. Yes, to
I'll
send it.
make a motion to approve. Send it to the full board.
Kenny?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Bill, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, let's vote. Call the roll, please.
Chair G, I've already had a motion and a second. Motion was by
Yeah,
Doug
you know,
Walker Jones.
that's what I thought. That sounded like we were repeating ourselves. So all of that, who made the motion originally?
I did.
Doug, okay, okay. So
It
we'll
doesn't
just
matter.
dispense with the second motion.
My apologies. I guess we were in discussion.
Well, I no, that's my fault. I forgot. So Doug made the motion. Who made the second?
Walker Jones.
And Walker. Okay, very good. So now we're ready to vote. Thank you.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Okay. Soddy Daisy easement offers, Exhibit I.
So I'm going to let Eric talk to that since he's been dealing with this easement
Okay.
acquisition.
Welcome, Eric.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? So the spreadsheet that's in your packet here shows, I guess, a few things, but in the fourth column over, the values under the easement value column are what came back from the report that we got from the appraiser. And you'll notice that two of them, Smith Asset Recovery and 8399 Gulfview Drive, are a pretty good deal above what the easement value was, what the easement was valued at. I will just, my comments are off to the right there. With Smith Asset Recovery, the man does have about 25 cypress trees that he planted for a privacy barrier that are more or less right along the alignment of the force main that we're intending to upgrade. So they will all be taken out. And his $10,000 is basically what he's valued his trees at. And that's why he's asking for $15,000. 8399 Gulfview, there's one tree that is going to be taken out that the man valued at $1,000. And he has two renters on the property. He rents the front portion to a guy that fixes cars, and then the back portion just for recreation to a local family. And the additional money basically represents 1 month of rent, which is what we're estimating the construction schedule will be disturbing his property at. So other than that, the AFS building out in Soddy Daisy, that man intends to donate the property. However, he just sold his business. AFS was taken over by, I don't know, some multinational corporation, and they're in discussions about more or less how to pay for everything through the merger. I'm not sure what his timeline is going to be to get his own bank's assessment of the easement value. All he really wants is a tax write-off for donating the easement to the WWTA for it. However, I have asked us to go ahead and approve the value of the easement, which the report said was $30,000, just in case that speeds the process along. I will wait with the man as more or less as long as I can. But if it comes down to bidding the job and getting a shovel in the ground and doing the upgrade, I would suggest we just offer him the $3,000 so we can continue with the job.
Okay. Discussion from anybody?
Kenny.
Yeah, just
going
real
on?
quick on the Smith asset recovery. I'm not really familiar with this, but is part of the screening that you talked about, was that part of a requirement for that lot? Do you know?
No, sir.
Okay.
It was just something that the man did when he bought the property about, I believe he said it was in the neighborhood of 15 years ago.
Okay.
Or maybe 20. And he planted, right when he bought it, he planted about 25 cypress trees along the back, and they've all grown up to be about 40 or 50 feet tall now.
Okay, I was just making sure that wasn't part of an original zoning requirement or anything the reason why he did it to begin with.
No, sir. It backs up to state land that's all vacant anyhow.
perfect.
So it's not a requirement.
Yes, Alice?
Hey, Eric, in the case of Gulfview Drive, will he not be able to have renters while the construction is going on? Is that the situation there?
Certainly not for the back portion. The back portion borders the North Chick Creek, and like those renters just use it for recreation. And while we've got equipment back through there, it will not be usable for them. There will be some disturbance to the guy that rents the front part for industrial. He'll have to move some of his cars that he's fixing and that kind of thing, but he won't be impacted as much. The back portion, it won't be usable at all.
When these easements are recorded, that amount, I'll call it the premium that we're willing to agree to, if we agree to it, does that establish I go back to my precedent thing, how much do we peel off that part that is considered not the value of the property, but some consideration over and above the real value? And does it inflate the prices we're willing to pay? Or am I just?
I can answer that. Typically, easements are just basically case by case. We either pay what the person requests. I guess ultimately we have the option of condemnation. We really don't want to go that route typically, but I don't think it sets any kind of precedent or anything like that.
Okay, fair enough.
I agree with that.
So where are we in this? Are we ready to make offers to these folks, Eric?
Yes, sir. We're ready to make offers to everybody. I'm still working with the state of Tennessee. There's a pretty lengthy process I have to go through from getting approvals for the state. But other than the state of Tennessee and the AFS, the 214 Industrial Park Drive, I'm ready to make offers to the rest of them.
Do we need, you need anything from us at this point?
Just a recommendation to bring it to the board for approval.
Very good. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Jay. Alice?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? So this is a recommendation, or this is a motion to bring this to the full board for approval.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Now let's vote. Call the roll, please.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yeah.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal. Boyd Veal.
Yes.
Yes. All right, very good. Moving on to the adjustment report. Taylor, are you gonna do that?
Actually, no, I'm going to do that.
You're gonna do, okay, Mike.
Up if you need us to put it up. But generally, we had 3 pretty high residential adjustments. They were all outside water line leaks. and then one high commercial adjustment, also an outside water line leak.
This report doesn't tell us how this is for 1 month, correct?
Yes.
So it doesn't really give us a history,
No.
but it's not out of, there's nothing really remarkable or unusual about this month.
No, I mean, nothing really stood out to me. You know, we typically have a relatively few number of high adjustments
Yeah.
that are similarly in the range that we're looking at with this one.
Any comments from anyone? Hearing none, we'll just move on to the next item. Thank you, Mike. Rogers Branch emergency pump purchase discussion.
So we had to buy 2 pumps for Rogers Branch. This really checks 2 boxes in terms of purchases. It's both an emergency purchase and a sole source purchase, in that from the emergency standpoint, obviously we need to have pumps to pump the wastewater, but the sole source realm is that we have to have pumps that fit the existing bases, and typically pump suppliers, and these pumps are no different, have areas of service. So you generally can only buy the pump from the person who has the area to sell the pump. I'm not sure if I explained that right or not, but so I'm just informing the board of the emergency purchase that we had to make for these 2 pumps.
Just to clarify for me, if it weren't an emergency and you went out for bids, you would still be limited because of the nature of the limitations of the existing equipment. Is that correct?
Right. I mean, ultimately, if for some reason we wanted to change the pump, we would potentially also have to change the plumbing in the station, which adds significantly more costs. In this case, we are just replacing 2 existing like for like pumps.
Okay. Any comment from anybody on the board? All right, let's move on to Roy Lane and Green Gap pump stations upgrade.
I think I do need a motion to send the purchase to the full board.
On the previous?
Yes.
On the emergency?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I thought that was just discussion. Okay, very good. Do I hear a motion for approval on the purchase of the emergency pumps for Rogers Branch?
Motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Any further discussion? All right, let's call the roll, please.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
It's like he stepped away for a minute.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right, now we can move on to Roy Lane and Green Gap pump stations upgrade.
So this bid award would be the final piece of the turnaround. The bid opening is this coming Monday. We anticipate to bring a recommendation to the full board. This is just a discussion only, just to let you know that it's coming to the full board and not the usual committee and then board route.
Okay. We are pumping now, correct?
Yes, now we are currently just going through the old force main arrangement.
Yeah,
Once these pump stations are upgraded, we will be going through the new Mountain View force main exclusively from the northern Ooltewah area.
okay. Very good. Very good. And we don't need a motion, we don't need anything on this item from the board.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Officers and directors liability insurance discussion.
So this is another thing that we hope to have an actual price for the insurance to bring to the board next Wednesday. We currently don't. For past history, the last year's premium was approximately $18,000. It appears the premium is based somewhat on the revenues of the utility. And our revenues are up slightly with the rate increases. But we anticipate it to be in the $18,000 to $20,000 range for this insurance. And primarily this insurance is to cover personnel issues should the board be sued.
I can remember when the premium was $5,000.
Yes, the year before it was about six, just under six.
Okay. So we can.
Particular carrier quit carrying that type of insurance.
Probably in the neighborhood of $20,000, something like that.
Yes.
All right. Flow monitoring contract discussion.
This is another one that Eric will take care of.
Okay, Eric.
So the flow monitoring contract we have right now is with a company called ADS out of Alabama. They've done a pretty good job for us. They also do flow monitoring for the city, which is somewhat advantageous for us in that, our billing meters are both owned by the same company. So there's some trust there, I suppose. But anyhow, it's up for renewal for A2. This is the first 2-year renewal we'll have on this contract, and we're proposing to renew it at $450,000 a year.
Anyone like to comment on that?
What did we pay last year? I mean, it's the same price.
Well, we actually, the contract was approved in the July board meeting last year, Bill, for $750,000. That was a little bit robust. We trimmed it a little bit budget wise to get it down. And that's why we're asking for $450. But to answer your question, we have paid them from July to July about $135,000. What we're anticipating is that once the consent decree actually kicks in, we're going to have to really ramp up our flow monitoring as we monitor before projects that we undertake for rehab and then after projects to see what kind of reduction in I&I we get.
So this would be a not to exceed amount, this would be a firm $450,000.
We're looking for a not to exceed right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
But actually doing more, actually spending more money than we did this year.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
It will actually take more out of the budget. There was more in the budget, but we're slicing some off of the budget number, but we didn't even get close to what the budget number was for it last year. The reason it's significantly higher than the amount is, like I said, we're anticipating having to use this contract a good deal more, in particular with looking at before and after on rehab jobs. And also as you build a hydraulic model, which we're going to have to do, there's going to be significant use of it there.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion? Any other comments? So are we ready then to, do you need approval to seek this contract?
I need approval to renew the contract at $450,000 a year. It'll be a 2-year renewal. So I suppose the way it's going to work is that we will approve the renewal at $450,000 a year.
Okay. So then this would be a renewal from the Finance Committee to the full, a motion to the full board.
Yes.
I need a motion from the Finance Committee to make a recommendation to the full board for approval. Have I got that right, Bill?
So move.
Thank you, Alice.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Any further discussion? All right, let's vote. Call the roll.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right, when I look at the items for the engineering committee, we've already discussed the first one, which is 3C, 4B, East Ridge Rehab Contract Recommendation. We've discussed the Roy Lane and Green Gap Pump Station upgrade. And we've discussed the flow monitoring contract. So are there any, I don't know of any additional items for the engineering committee. Mike, are there?
No, that's it.
So we have completed the agenda as it stands. Is there anything else that we need to discuss?
I don't have anything else.
All right. Do I hear it? Any additional business from a board member? We need to open up the phone line, which is now, I guess. It's on the YouTube page. Oh. If we have anyone listening who would like to make a call to ask a question of the WWTA board, you can call this number, 209-7845. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. And if you have a question, we'll try to answer it. If we can't answer it, we'll try to get an answer. But at this point, we'll wait to hear if there is anyone wishing to talk to the WWTA board. I hope everyone is well. Everyone looks pretty darn good for me. It's good to see everybody's face again. This is the first time I've seen Jay Bell's without a mask on. My golly.
Don't you think the mask is kind of an improvement for Jay?
In some cases they are, Doug. Yeah, probably in mine. Yeah.
Well,
Kenny, it's good to see you. It's good to have you with us again. We haven't seen you in a good while, but it's nice to have you with us.
Glad to be here for sure.
I am assuming that there is no one calling.
That is correct, sir.
If that is the case, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug. We will probably meet next time via Zoom. Thank you, Boyd, for allowing us to ride on your Zoom account. And I think this worked pretty well. So we'll probably continue this way for a while, in spite of Bill McGriff's objection. He's going to say something. Bill, yes?
I will renew my objections, not very loudly, but you know.
All right. Until next time, the next meeting is the full board meeting. And it will be, Mike, what, Wednesday? You mentioned Wednesday
Yes, Wednesday, the 26th, 3:30.
at 3:30. All right. Look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you for your work today.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
You too.